Thank you to our Season 2 That Greenwich Life presenting sponsor, RMA of New York. RMA of New York is a full-service fertility center that offers fertility testing, IVF, egg freezing, male reproductive medicine, and LGBTQ family building. And with 14 clinics across Manhattan, Brooklyn, Westchester, and Long Island, they make expert care accessible. RMA of New York is changing lives and helping so many of us write our next chapter. Visit rmany.com for more info. Last week on That Greenwich Life, we opened a conversation so many of us have been carrying quietly for years. The shame, the confusion, and the emotional exhaustion of family estrangement. And the messages that poured in made one thing so very clear. You are not alone in this. Today, we're continuing the conversation and going deeper, because estrangement doesn't begin with a single moment or a single argument or a grudge. It begins inside toxic family systems, the patterns we were born into, dynamics we never asked for, and cycles that stretch back farther than any of us realize. Today, we're talking about generational trauma, what it really is, how it forms, and the way it silently shapes how you love, how you parent, how you choose your friendships, and how your body and nervous systems react. We're exploring the roles many of us were handed before we even knew who we were: the golden child, the scapegoat, the peacemaker, and how those labels follow us into adulthood long after we've left home. And to help us do that, I am bringing in someone very special. My guest today is a shamanic healer, and I found her in the middle of one of the darkest seasons of my life, in the depths of my own fertility journey, separated from my family, terrified, exhausted, and searching for something. In one session, she guided me in ways that are almost impossible to put into words. She helped me make sense of my past, showed me what could be possible in my future, and she gave me hope when I had none. She is a powerful force, and if you're scratching your head and saying, what exactly is a shamanic healer? Keep an open mind and keep listening, because I know you will hear something today that lands in a way you didn't expect. This episode is about clarity, about giving you language for what you've lived through, about showing you that choosing yourself does not make you disloyal. It makes you a cycle breaker. My hope is that you will begin to understand that healing your own story is not selfish. It's the greatest gift you can give to the generation coming after you. So take a deep breath and let's get into it. Hi, I'm Dorothy, a reformed celebrity gossip girl. For more than a decade, I was a red carpet reporter and tabloid magazine editor in New York City, appearing on all your favorite TV shows, spilling the secrets of the stars. But now, I'm a mom of two living that Greenwich life in the suburb of Greenwich, Connecticut. And these days, I'm using my storytelling power for a purpose far greater than gossip. My own journey through infertility, IVF, and late-stage pregnancy loss taught me this. Everyone's carrying something hard, no matter where you live or how polished your life seems. That Greenwich Life isn't about status or perfection. It's about honesty, healing, and the messy, beautiful middle ground between who we are and who we're becoming. It's about the resilience it takes to rebuild when things fall apart, and the experiences we all share that remind us we're never truly alone. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad we're in this together. If you're a regular listener of this show, then you know my road to having my daughter was long, painful, and traumatic. I've shared parts of that journey with all of you because it's so important to have the right support during one of the hardest times in your life. That's what makes this season's presenting sponsor, RMA of New York, so special. They're not just fertility doctors, nurses, and embryologists. They're a full team walking beside you every step of the way. RMA of New York is a full-service fertility center that offers fertility testing, IVF, egg freezing, male reproductive medicine, and LGBTQ family building services. And with 14 clinics across Manhattan, Brooklyn, Westchester, and Long Island, expert care is always within reach. I also have to shout out Dr. Lucky Seacon, board-certified reproductive endocrinologist, infertility specialist, and author of the upcoming book, The Lucky Egg, which is all about understanding your fertility with warmth and humor. RMA of New York is changing lives and helping so many of us write our next chapter. Visit rmany.com for more info. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of That Greenwich Life Season 2, sponsored by RMA of New York. I am your host, Dorothy Cascerceri Simone. And I wish that I could grab you all from what it is that you're doing, standing in front of your TV, folding laundry, driving in your car, a car full of kids to lacrosse practice. I wish I could just grab you through the camera, through the microphone, and pull you into the studio today, because the energy in here with my special guest is indescribable. The woman who is sitting here with me in the studio today is somebody who has gifts and intuition and all sorts of things in this world that many of us do not. And I will tell you, when I first heard about her, I was so intrigued. I was so curious. What exactly is a shaman? You know, what does it mean? Like, I've heard about it in movies and I've seen about it at, like, you know, Burning Man content and things like that. I've never actually been to Burning Man, but it is something that's on my bucket list at some point. But like, what does it actually mean? And I went, you know, now we're going back, I would say probably like 4 or 5 years. Oh, maybe it was closer to like 3 or 4 years ago, when I was in the most hopeless possible place of my life. And a friend of mine gifted me a session with my special guest today. She's based here in Connecticut, nearby to Greenwich, in Stamford. My friend gifted me a session, and I went in, and let me just tell you, it really, without sounding overly dramatic and what some people might think ridiculous, I walked into her house one version, and I walked out of her house another version. And what ended up then happening in my life, which we're going to get into once I introduce her, what ended up then unfolding and happening in my life, the entire time I just kept thinking, I have to get in touch with her. I have to tell her. I have to tell her what's going on, because she laid the blueprint for this. She laid the groundwork, and she knew. And anyway, this guest today, okay, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background about her, and then I'm going to introduce her, and she can tell you in her own words. But she is a healer. She is a shaman. She is an energetic force. At the age of 16, she unexpectedly lost her 12-year-old sister. Soon after her sister passed, she communicated directly with my guest to let her know that she had reached the other side and was safe. And this experience completely altered my guest's perception of life and the world and what special gifts she had. And for anybody who is a naysayer, because I know you've probably encountered it, for anybody who's a naysayer, you need to pay close attention to this episode, and you need to keep listening, because things are revealed through this woman and through her powers. She's not exactly just a psychic. She's not exactly just a shaman. She is a combination of several of these things. And she has healed since 1994. She's been sharing her gifts, and she's been channeling for thousands of clients who have been benefiting from all of her profound messages of inspiration and guidance, myself being one of them. And you guys know I am not going to talk about anything that I do not wholeheartedly believe in. The really special thing is that during her time, her main guide who came to her to help her with her healing work is the beloved Native American divine being, the White Buffalo Woman. And so I want to welcome to the show my special guest. Her name is Eve Kerwin, and she is also known as the White Buffalo Woman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. You're so kind.
Of course.
Wonderful words. Thank you so much.
Of course. And if anybody knows me in real life, I don't know if I've actually ever talked about this on social media, but if you know me IRL, you know that I have spoken about the white buffalo woman many, many times, whether we're at the country club for a wine event. I remember one night we're out there in the cold and I had 8 women around me, like captivated, hanging on to every single word of the story of what happened at your house that day that I went.
Oh,
And so before I share kind of my story and our personal connection, can you tell us a little bit about how you describe yourself in your own words?
well, it's actually, it's kind of difficult. The way I lead my life and the way I go about things, because I guess I see things, feel things differently from most people. What does that really mean? I can't really explain. I do see something more than maybe someone wouldn't even have a clue what that means. Or I could just look at someone and see. For example, this has happened quite a few times. This isn't very pleasant, but I could see when someone's going to pass. Now, I'm not God, but I could see it through their eyes when I look in their eyes. And this has happened to me so many times, and always within 1 week after I see that the person, I get the phone call, oh my goodness, what a shock, this person passed. They weren't ill, they just dropped dead. And that kind of rattles me.
I bet.
Very much so. But it's things like that, perfect example. I don't know if it was last week. I'm sure many people heard it even on the mainstream news channels, that someone was stabbed at Macy's in Herald Square.
Mm-hmm.
I was at Macy's in Danbury, Connecticut, and I'm in the store, shopping for the grandchildren for Christmas, and I get this overwhelming feeling over my physical body, and I hear in my head someone is about to be stabbed. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm looking over my left shoulder, my right shoulder, I'm looking all around me. I'm saying, oh my goodness, I have to get out of here. What's going to happen?
Right.
But I was ready to go check out. I hurry up. I went to the checkout counter, exited, came home. I put on the local news, and there it is. Herald Square, Macy's.
Oh
there was
my
a stabbing. So I'm thinking, well, here I am in Danbury, Connecticut at the shopping mall, and I'm picking up in New York City.
But you were connected. You were connected in some way to what was happening.
I understand exactly probably what happened, because the woman, they caught her, and I believe she's already been faced the judge or whatever. But she was released the day before, and I believe it was a mental institution, and she was hearing voices in her head that she had to do this, and so I believe, I'm all about energy. I was picking up somehow, but in New York City, I don't know. But I knew this was going to happen, but I thought it was where I was, but it was in Manhattan.
That's wild. I remember you sharing similar stories like this with me when we first met, when I came to see you. And, I talked in the intro of this episode about generational trauma and all of kind of the continuation of this conversation we had last week. I had last week with Bianca Jade, my guest, and I had learned a little bit about like the generations of families and how things work. I had learned a little bit about that before I came to see you. But then when I came to see you, you provided such a clearer understanding. And it didn't sound outrageous to me, because I kind of already had like a strange belief that I knew that this is how it went, right? But so tell us a little bit about like the soul, how you talked to me about the soul's journey and the different generations, and like how things are passed from one to the next.
Yes.
And like the soul's work, right? Because it's this, each soul has a certain amount of work to do.
Absolutely true. It's endless, actually. And we, as the soul, when we're preparing to reincarnate, all our guides rally around us, and they're prepping us that, okay, now you're going to have the opportunity. You're going to return back into the physical mortal body, and they give you all the information kind of in a nutshell of what it is, mainly of what it is that you should be responsible for, this another shot to return back to Earth to finish up the karma from the past. And we have the option to change our physicality. It's always our choice if we're going to be male or female, male or female. It's our own inner draw of where we're going to, what's going to best suit us. If we take the physical body of the woman, to take the physical body of the man to fulfill that karma. And you know, there's different degrees and levels of that choice. So they cover all of that with you. And so, of course, the finale, before you're actually going to start the process to become into the womb, you have all these options. But this is why I say to many, many people, if they have a miscarriage, it's not your fault. It's not the woman's fault, the mother, the potential mother, because... say she fell, missed a step, fell, and she blames herself. Oh, my goodness, I jolted my body, and now the child. No, that is not true. They're looking for the option to make their way. Many of them don't have to do that, but to take the exit. It's always the soul's choice, whether they're going to carry it through. Maybe it's not the time. Maybe we need a little more time before we're going to jump in and become the actual human child. It's quite a understanding of how the whole process works. But
I remember, sorry, I don't want to interrupt,
yes.
but I remember you telling me this. So I'm gonna jump into my experience,
yes.
because we have to talk about it. It's a story I've been wanting to share on the show for so long. But I was it was the fall of, I think, 2021. And I had just, maybe a month or two prior, I had just gone through two terrible traumas. Hurricane Ida hit, and my house had 6 feet of water in it.
Ooh.
My neighbors got flooded out. It was so traumatic. All of my photo albums, my scrapbooks, everything that I created from grade school, high school, college, my 20s, it was all down there in the lower level, and it all got completely destroyed. My baby pictures, almost like a life, like a whole lifetime,
Yes.
just gone. And I know now what the flood symbolizes,
Exactly.
and I know very much so
Yeah.
why the flood happened. But I had also, at the time of this, it was my 40th birthday. It was the eve of my 40th birthday. And I was pregnant. And now, you didn't know any of this when I came in to see you. And I was pregnant for the first time in 2 or 3 years. I was pregnant for the first time naturally on my own with my husband, since we had to terminate our pregnancy for medical reasons at 21 weeks. So we went through this huge trauma that reshaped my life and who I am as a person. Then we went into IVF, IUI. We did 5 rounds of IVF, so much anesthesia, so many invasive procedures. And I got pregnant with 3 of them, and I had miscarriages for all 3 that nobody knew what the reason was. And then I got pregnant without the IVF, and we thought, this is the moment. This is our glorious moment. And we were planning to go to Croatia. My husband had surprised me for my 40th birthday with this magnificent Croatia trip. His mom was going to come to stay with our son at the time, who was, he's 10 now, so a couple years ago. And I went into the doctor, and everything was looking so great all along. And then I went in the day before we were leaving for Croatia, and they said, "I'm sorry, there's no heartbeat." And it was such a gut punch. So now that I laid out that entire chronology, you had to have imagined, just everybody at home have a clear enough idea of how honestly decrepit of an individual I was mentally at this moment in life, that I had gone through all of this in such a short amount of time. My body, I had so much death in my body. I had so many procedures, so many doctors. It was like, you just couldn't even script it. I was just at the bottom of the barrel. And I went in to see you. And that was the first thing that you had said to me about the miscarriages and about like the soul's journey and the soul deciding like not to enter at that moment. And it gave me so much comfort. And whether you're listening at home and like you believe it or you don't believe it, to me at that time, I don't even think I needed to decide if it was true or not true. If you like, you know, I just trusted it. I trusted you and I believed it because it gave me comfort.
I'm glad about that.
It gave me so much comfort.
Yeah.
You know what the most important part of this show is? You. Yes, you. The person listening while you're dropping the kids at soccer, folding laundry, or walking your dog. You make this show what it is, and it's your support, your time, and your energy that brings it to life every week. So can I ask a quick favor? It'll take just 20 seconds, I promise. Head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, hit that follow button so you don't miss new episodes, and leave a quick rating or review. Another great way to spread the love, pop the link to the show or your favorite episode into a group chat so more friends can check it out. These small gestures make a huge difference, and most of all, they help the message reach someone who needs it the most. As always, be sure to follow me on Instagram at DorothyOnTV and check out DorothyOnTV.com for the latest updates and to shop our brand new merch. And now back to the convo. And so I didn't know what to expect from this appointment. And we went in and we didn't really like talk too much. Like you didn't ask me a lot of questions or, you know, like you kind of started out just explaining to me what we were about to do and what to expect, which I thought was really interesting. And so, you know, I thought I would be lying down, but we were both standing.
Yep.
We're both standing, you're facing me. And the room that we did it in was so cool, by the way. Like you had like incense burning, and I think you might have had like some Palo Santo, and there's like the buffalo head, and there's lots of different
artifacts and things from all over the world.
Artifacts, I love that. Yes, artifacts and things all over the world. I mean, like just a really, really unique space, a space like I had never entered, really, truly never entered before. And I've gone on, you know, retreats and things like that, and I've always been interested in like spiritual type things. But anyway, so then we started with you explaining that you were going to, you know, like be kind of like making a lot of like sounds, and you were going to be like kind of like talking in like different like tongues and like voices and things like this. And it was going to be like the spirit guides coming through.
And the breathing.
And the breathing, yes.
Yeah.
The breathing was actually like, and I loved how you prepared me for all of it, because I think if you went into it and just started doing it, I think it could be a little bit, I don't want to use the word jarring, but like it's unexpected.
It's different.
It's unexpected. It's different. It's different. And the breathing is like, right?
Yes.
And as you keep breathing and you keep like creating this heat and your body keeps getting warmer, you keep like channeling more.
I'm moving into altered states.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there and like my eyes are closed, but like I'm kind of like opening one eye, you know, like peeking a little bit, you know, and I don't really know what to make of it. But what I will tell you about this experience, and you already know this, Eve, but listeners at home don't know. You went through this story. Like you told me this story about like kind of like this, you know, if it's okay to use the word, like this like kind of like crazy story about how I had 6 children. I had 6 children. Or was it that I had 5 children? No, I think it was that I had 6 children. But the one child, like I was tired at the end of having 5 children, which at the time I only had 1 child. I was only just trying to have a second child. I wasn't trying to have 6 children. But I had 6 children in like a past life. And when I found out I was pregnant with the 6th, I was so tired and I didn't really want to have a 6th child, which I'm sure anybody who has like more than 1 or 2 children can relate. And I ended up just being like kind of resentful of the sixth child. And I really didn't want to, nurture the child and like kind of all this stuff, right? Which makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, right? But I was open-minded. I was open-minded. And you came highly, highly recommended by several people who I know and trust. And so I kept an open mind. And so this story ended up like going on about the six children. And then you connected the dots between this kind of like parental neglect that I was showing this child, and then some of what my own things have been in my real life that I have experienced as the child. And it was really powerful. And I was crying. And I also connected a lot of it to my baby, my son, Dean, who we lost at 21 weeks, who you knew nothing about this. And I connected it to him as well, where I had this like really, really shameful, horrible moment in my life that I look back on, and I'm more healed now about it, but at the time it just made me so cringe, where when I found out that I was pregnant with him, when I found out that he was a boy, another boy, because I already had a son who was 3 at the time. When I found out that he was a boy, I was like devastated. I was, and I am so ashamed of it because I had no idea what was going to happen. And of course I blamed myself. I blamed myself that like my devastation about having another boy and it not being a girl. I blamed myself that like that caused like his congenital heart defect and all of these things that were obviously they were not true. It's not possible. But it was like really a healing moment for me where I confronted some of my own past pain and then some of my own actions that I was not proud of, that all had to do with this past life story that you channeled, right? And so the session, like the channel, the guides came through, and the guides, like helped me to kind of like, and during the session, I don't even think that I'm really out loud sharing this with you. I'm more listening. And then when you prompted me at one point to share if there's any kind of a connection, like that's what it was. It was like 2-pronged, and it was generational. And I thought that I was going to have a daughter at the time that I found out that my second baby was a son. I thought I was going to have a daughter because I was going to heal and erase all of the pain that existed within my relationship with my own mother. And I thought that that's how it was going to go. And so I hope that people listening, I hope that I'm explaining this in a clear way, because it actually feels like very emotional kind of talking about it even this much, after the fact. But I hope that like you're following this, because looking back, it was so clear. And so you, Eve, you basically talked to me about a lot of this once I revealed kind of like where my personal connection was. And we talked about like the generations and the soul generations within a family.
Right.
And how it kind of breaks down. And before I reveal the absolute like bone-chilling, earth-shattering, game-changing part of what happened that day with you, just remind me like what it was about like the generations of like the souls and what it had to do with like my mother and then me, and then like thinking that there was going to be like this daughter that, didn't exist.
Yes. See, all the souls that are in our life now, the people who we know, our immediate family, are bloodlines. We've known them, of course, from the past. They're all, like this lifetime, your father could have been a husband to you, but this time he came through as your
that's
father.
creepy.
Yeah, this is how it works. We stay with the same pod, but we take different roles in life because that's how we're learning. We have to experience like the pain. We have to experience the pleasure. We have to experience everything we experienced with all these individuals, but now in different levels and different roles. So there's no way around it. This is why so many people today, and I hear it more and more, but the good news is, when I finish this clarification, is that we're gaining from it. Many, many people are saying, I'm cutting off from my brother, I'm cutting off from my sister, I have this in-law that I just can't deal with, or whatever the situation is, and the person feels it and they just can't deal with it. I'm saying maybe you have to look at it maybe a little more deeply, because there's a role we're still playing, and that's why we're not feeling happy with that person, with that individual, or we're trying to figure out why, what happened here. But once we have the understanding of behind the scenes from another lifetime, and that's my kind of expertise, I'll say in a way. I'm reading from the Akashic Records. It's called the Akashic Records. It's your book of life. And
how do you spell that?
Akashic. Let me see now. I should know this.
I'm trying to think if I ever have seen this word before.
ACHAS.
Okay.
No, wait. I should know this.
Okay, it doesn't matter. This is not a spelling bee. Sorry.
The Akashic Records. It's the book of life.
Okay.
And there's no way around it. So every role, like, as I said, your husband could have been your father. That's why maybe people, their husbands, they're bossing them what to do. Well, maybe when he was your father, he did it. Now you're getting the opportunity to be the wife and to balance it. It's all a balancing act. And that's what it is. Mm-hmm. And this is why we keep reincarnating, to fix it. We must fix all these levels. And we'll keep repeating this until it's all done. And then you won't have to repeat anything. And it could take hundreds of years for the repeat performance to take place.
Right.
But you have to wait for all of those souls to be in place. At the same time, you're going to reincarnate. They're reincarnating. And that's why they say fate. If you're going to meet your husband and, oh my God, this is like ecstasy. This is the perfect man for me. Well, maybe you had to wait 300-400 years before his soul came around that was going to reincarnate at the same time your soul was reincarnating.
It's right. So it's like it's all
timed.
It's all timed, and there's all of this divine magic that's happening behind the scenes.
All has to play out.
That you have to trust, right? There's like a certain level where you have to trust. Like, people say, trust the universe, and some people like live by that. I live by that. Some people are like, my husband, for example, he's like, trust the universe. Like, what does that even mean? Like, that doesn't even mean anything, And some people just don't. They don't feel things on like such a divine level like that.
Yes.
But so getting back to the day at your house, the craziest part about this whole story, like the most unbelievable and useful part about it, is that I ended up like, having this kind of clearing after.
And that goes deep.
It goes really deep. And I had this clearing, and you gave me something to really kind of like think about when it came to all of these pregnancies that I lost and these babies that I lost. And, what was like the future going to bring, And so once we were like done and the session concluded, you invited me to sit down. And you asked me like, the question that I was like dying for you to like ask me the whole time, which was, now tell me about you. Like, tell me about like you and like where you are with things. And I said, I was just pregnant, like, a few weeks ago. And I said, and I, have been really struggling with having a baby, and you said, well, how many has it been? And I said, how many miscarriages? And you said, no, how many pregnancies has it been? And I said, like lifetime? And I, went through like Nicholas, my son, he was my first. And Dean, my angel baby, he was my second. And then I had another pregnancy. That was my third, my second IVF transfer. My first transfer was a negative pregnancy test. Second IVF transfer, pregnant, but then I had a miscarriage. Then I had another IVF transfer, fresh transfer, pregnant, but then I had a miscarriage. And then the most recent one, right before I came to see you. So it had been 5 pregnancies. And if you revert back to the story that Eve shared with me about my previous life, there were 6 children. And you, Eve, I know, stopped and said, I'm not God, and I can't tell you exactly the future, but you make sure that you reach out to me, because 6 children, the 6th one is the one that you rejected. 5 pregnancies, the next pregnancy, that could be your baby. And you were very humble about it, and you weren't trying to feed me some false hope or anything. But oh my gosh, I have chills even thinking about it. And when I walked out that day, I felt like, what are the chances that this could all be,
Real.
What are the chances, And that was the fall of 2021. And then I went back into the IVF clinic. I did another round of IVF, another retrieval in February. It went horribly wrong. I didn't think that was going to be it. I didn't think we were going to get some miraculous embryos. We had nothing frozen. I didn't think we were going to get some miraculous embryos. I didn't think oh, this is going to be my baby. But it went worse than we could have ever imagined it going. We barely had anything to show for it. Something happened in the lab. Who knows? And that was it. And I never remembered thinking well, I guess she wasn't right. I always remembered quietly thinking, but there was that thing. There was that thing that Eve shared with me. There was that thing. Maybe my baby really is coming. Maybe. I don't know how. It's not looking too good. All the odds have been against us, but maybe the baby's, maybe. I don't know. I didn't have a lot of hope, but that gave me a tiny, tiny, tiny morsel of hope. And then in June, I told my husband, this is it. I got to be done. It's got to be done. It must be over. I am not well. I have to focus on my own healing. This has been too hard. It's been too traumatic, too devastating. And my husband was like, well, we're not too old yet. We still could try naturally. And I was like, I cannot have one more baby die in my body. I can't have it. It's been too much, too traumatic. And I remember thinking to myself, I think maybe maybe she just wasn't right, but I thought about you a lot throughout this. And then 3 weeks later, I realized, I missed my period. And I was pregnant. I had the most traumatic 9 months of carrying this baby because I had had so many pregnancies fail and I had lost so much. But I just kept thinking about what you told me. Yeah. And I just kept thinking maybe I have to just believe. I have to just believe as hard as it is. And and I remember I went through so many iterations of the trauma, and I would go into the doctor's office and I would wear noise canceling headphones for my ultrasound and I would just close my eyes and I would just say is the baby alive? Does everything look okay? Just let me know when that's the answer.
Right.
Because I don't need the play-by-play. I have been too traumatized. I went through all sorts of EMDR therapy, tons of therapy. I was working on myself, healing myself. And I remember I was like, far along, and I came out of the elevator at my doctor's office and I ran into you.
Oh, I remember that. Yes. I was so shocked. I mean, I and you said, Eve, it's Dorothy.
Yeah.
And because I was like, I don't know what it was. You looked different to me.
Well, yeah, I looked different because I probably had aged like 20 years in all of the sadness and trauma that I went through. But I also looked different because I had a huge pregnant stomach. And I was like, oh my gosh, Eve, like you're never gonna believe it, And you just you really you stayed with me throughout that whole process. And and my daughter Gemma was born, and she's gonna be 3 in March. And it's just really, really crazy. The hope that you gave me and the level of accuracy. The level of accuracy was wild.
Yeah.
Without knowing anything. You didn't know how many pregnancies I had. I didn't even know. I had to stop for a second and tally them up. And then the number matched the number of children that came to you. It's just the whole thing was just wild. And you do this for a lot of people.
Yes, this is what I do. It's
You've heard me talk about Room for Paws Pet Resort before and how much our golden doodle Bleecker loves staying there when we're traveling. But did you know they also offer daycare, training, puppy preschool, and a professional grooming spa specializing in Doodle's grooming services? Visit roomforpawspetresort.com and mention That Greenwich Life for 20% off your next full-service groom. Looking for a place where your kids can move, grow, and build confidence? At Jackrabbit's Gymnastics and Soccer Club right here in Greenwich, Coach Nikolai and Coach Daniela create a fun, supportive environment for all age groups. My daughter Gemma loves her classes there so much, we even asked them to host her second birthday last year. To find out more, visit jackrabbitsgym.com.
It's fascinating. It fascinates me myself. I'm doing it, but even me myself, sometimes at the end of the night before I go to sleep, I say, I just can't even believe it myself, what's coming out of my mouth. But I mean, I'm thankful. I feel it's true divine divinity in every way. I mean, I'm thankful that I'm able to help serve.
And you've flown
I've been all over the world.
Tell me about that.
Well, I would love to share this with you. My last large trip, extentful trip, was this past April, May. I was in Ireland, and I was there for, I guess, a few weeks. It was a good little stint there. But I would love to share this. When I first started to channel years ago, Archangel Michael was the first being that came through me. I channel archangels, ascended masters, personal guides. I never know who's going to speak through me until I'm in that moment. Once I'm in the trance, I know who's going to speak to the person standing in front of me.
Did I know this about the Archangel Michael? Because we named Dean, our angel baby. We named him Dean Michael after the Archangel. Michael is my husband's middle name as well.
How beautiful.
So Michael, the Archangel Michael, has a lot of meaning to us, which probably someone's like, I'm sorry, what? The Archangel has meaning to you? You're Catholic, but you believe in all of this reincarnation and stuff? But I do. I embrace much of it. I embrace more, I think, of what we're talking about than probably even I do of what the Catholic Church, teaches and things like that. But okay, so you...
I was in Ireland.
Are you going to tell us that you were with a celebrity? I know you can't talk about the people that you've worked with.
I've worked with many celebrities, but this is better. This is even better story. So every day, it was I won't say a grueling schedule, but it was a tough schedule. Every day, different hotel. I was all throughout different parts of Ireland. I was in Ireland years ago. That's another story. But now I returned, and now this time I went to different cities, towns. I really covered quite a bit of ground there. So different hotel, late nights, early mornings, moving from this hotel to this city to, kind of grueling.
And you're just doing sessions like with people the whole time.
So now I'm in the area Sligo. I think it's pronounced Sligo. I had never been there before. And I'm in the hotel. And when I travel, I always travel with my little clock, little travel clock, because it illuminates. And I always put it on the side of the bed in the hotel. So if I wake up and I just roll over, I look at the time, and then I go right back to sleep. I don't know why. It's just a habit. I like to see the time when I'm waking up. And I wake up, and the room was pitch dark, but my little illuminated clock, I see the dial, and that's what I look at is exactly 3 a.m. And I'm saying, gosh, why am I waking up? I'm so tired. All of a sudden, I knew something was going to happen in my hotel room.
Oh my gosh.
Lights started appearing in my hotel. The room was very dark. Everything was drawn, and the blinds, everything, heavy curtains. And all these lights, and I'm saying, and I sat up in bed, and I said, oh my God, what is this? Something's coming.
It's terrifying.
And the most handsomest man, it was Archangel Michael, but the most handsomest, I've never seen such beauty, the most chiseled face, tall, he was dressed in white. He had, it was like it almost looked like an outfit like a Punjabi when you go to India, but it wasn't. But it had a little bit of colored embroidery around his neckline. His hair was platinum blonde, the most beautiful head of hair. He was gorgeous, and he's smiling at me. The bluest eyes I've ever seen in my life, blue eyes, platinum blonde hair, and he's smiling at me, and the smile, perpetual smile, and he was accompanied by another, I'll say man, but obviously it was another angel that was grounding the energy for him. I never saw his face. I saw the back of his head of the other angel. He had jet black hair, beautiful contrast. Archangel Michael was platinum blonde, and he was standing this way, like in front of Archangel Michael, but not totally in front. His front was in front of me, but I understood exactly what he was doing. He was grounding the energy to bring him in, to manifest in front of us. He was holding the energy for him. And Archangel Michael just kept smiling and staring through my eyes. The piercing energy that went from his eyes to my eyes. And I said to him, who are you? And he said, Archangel Michael. I
couldn't believe it.
I still can't believe it. That was in May, this past May. I'm still riding high from this.
I bet.
So, here I had an archangel who I channel quite frequently.
Right.
Come, and I think he was saying thank you, or he was, you might say, that he gave me pure Shakti energy through the eyes, which was the biggest gift I think you'll ever receive, maybe. I don't know. It's quite amazing to me. I still can't believe it. Every day I think about it. And
that's incredible.
So I had to go to Ireland for that experience.
Wow.
So the next day, I didn't want to go around starting to say this story to the people I was with, because they're probably going to say, this woman's crazy.
Well,
she's hallucinating. I didn't want to.
That was actually my next question, though, because I want to hear, but pause just for 1 second and just like, what do you say to like the person listening to this? It's like, I think you maybe were just dreaming. I think you just like had a
Believe me.
I think you just woke up in the middle of the night. You thought you were awake, but you were actually dreaming.
No.
What do you say?
No. I say hopefully one day you'll have an experience in the same way, because there's nothing like it. This is like, I don't even know what to compare it to.
This is like your Super Bowl. This is like a shaman's Super Bowl.
Unbelievable.
Like
I've had many paranormal experiences. I will say I could talk about it for hours. Since the beginning of my life. When I think back, I myself can't even believe some of the things that I have witnessed or have come to me or whatever. I'm very thankful for that. And I think that's the dangling carrot maybe they've given me to keep pressing me forward, to move along and keep going, never give up. I will never retire unless they retire me.
Right.
Because I feel that this is what was given to me.
She's if you're not watching and you're just listening, she's pointing up above. She's saying, unless they retire me.
Yes.
Who's they?
The higher forces,
Right.
all the higher realms. All the masters and all the angels, Jesus, Mary. It's all true, people. You must believe this. It's all true. And all I can say is I have my proof. I have my proof as a human being that this isn't just what we see here and what we're enduring every day is a drop in the bucket compared to these higher realms. I mean, I've talked about it for hours, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
It's fascinating.
But so the next day, I'm, after this happened, I'm like it's hard for me to even do anything else. I'm just dwelling about.
You feel like you maybe like met Beyonce or something.
I mean, it was incredible. So I started asking little questions in the town. What, just a little to like shopkeepers and stuff. What is this town known for? Or what is, thinking maybe I'll get a hit. And one woman says to me, with a little Irish brogue,
right?
She says, "Oh, my dear, don't you know this is Archangel Michael's domain?"
No.
And I almost dropped. These archangels have certain domains. They're governing certain parts of the world, just like we have the president. Other countries have presidents, leaders. We have different, sectors. The angels do this as well with the world. And when she told me that, I said, "Oh, my God, I'm right in his territory.
Right in his neighborhood."
Yeah.
And what's his connection to that town?
He's governing it. I mean, he's, so I'm saying to people now when I'm hearing people saying, "Oh, I'm going to go to Ireland." I know somebody who just left. I just go try to go to Sligo.
Right.
I know he's connected very much so with Canada, parts of Canada as well. But, they're all connected with the whole universe. But there's certain areas that they, kind of are assigned to govern more so.
And so you basically travel around and just you just have all of these clients lined up day after day who want to do sessions with you on whatever it is that they're and what can you say about the celebrities?
Oh gosh, it's very amazing. I'd love to tell you some of the names.
I wish you could name drop.
I have to you'd be shocked. But you know what? It's really amazing to me because you see them on TV, you see them in these big movie screens. Rock stars I love the rock stars. I mean, it's so amazing to me. But when you get to know them on the level that I'm dealing with in that level, they're just it's like everyone else. I mean, it's like I say some of them they're real good actors and actresses because when you see them on the screen, but now I'm knowing their soul. I got to know their soul from what I'm doing. It's day and night.
Right.
It's fascinates me.
No, I know because I did celebrity news for so long and I interviewed so many of them and they're people just like us,
Yeah.
They wake up in the morning and brush their teeth and they go to bed at night and put their pajamas on. And
it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
One of them came to me one day, which I knew. I mean, I knew she was going to be arriving, and so I knew the destination time and everything. And I'm saying, "Gosh, is she a little late?" Finally, this car pulls in my drive. And a woman gets out, she had a driver, and she comes to the door, and she was in full disguise, which I was thankful for.
Right.
Because if the neighbors or, people in the neighborhood start seeing these people coming, knocking at my door, I wouldn't have any peace.
Did she travel far?
She traveled, to me. And, she had a wig on. She had everything. I mean, I didn't even recognize her.
Right.
It was like a Mission Impossible, taking all this stuff off. And I cracked up. It's really fascinating.
It's unbelievable.
It's a wild.
You are highly sought after, and I understand why, because that was a moment I will never, ever forget when I first met you and we did our session. What kind of advice do you give people about the kind of family cycles and breaking those cycles, how to best, break them and be a change maker?
The thing is, many people hang in there, and they're saying, "I'm so disgusted with this. How much longer can I endure this?" We could all say that. No one's exempt. I mean, really, friends, family, whatever. But the thing is, now that we're moving into the higher dimensions, we are, and this is another reason why we're so overly populated, because all of these souls are trying to come in and finish actual karma in the human body, because many of us, when we pass from this lifetime, many of us will not be returning to Earth. We're not going to be returning to what we know and what we've known before. Maybe we may not remember it, but we're not going to be returning to this dimension. The opportunity is to keep going higher and higher by clearing. So many people have told me since Thanksgiving recently, it was a hairy, they say to me, it was a kind of hairy holiday and try to stay away from family members, didn't want to. It's because these people finally are breaking the cycle, but they're feeling guilt about it. but they're breaking the cycle. I'm not going to deal with this family member anymore because they don't make me feel the way I should feel. And that's taking care of you. I mean, we want healing, of course, and we try to keep going and saying maybe they'll finally get it, whatever. But if we've been right up to as far as we can go with it, and we say, I can't do this anymore, and I take too much of a hit, walk away.
That's good advice.
Yeah, it's time to move on.
Yeah, because
they're not getting it. You're getting it. They're not.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because I do think that walking away is a form of self-care.
Yes.
And it is something that people do not do in a split second. It's not a decision that people make lightly. It's a decision, I think, that people make over a long period of time, and many, many examples of places where the energy just did not feel right.
Right.
And in terms of like the soul's journey and the soul, continuing on, what happens like when people make this decision to disconnect?
Well, by disconnecting and you feel in your heart, I've done everything that I could possibly do, and it's still not working. Then you're going to have more grace points. Mm-hmm. It's like you're earning more towards your own self-love. Mm-hmm. And that's what it is about your own self-love. It's not to be selfish, but you were trying not to be selfish by trying to make it work. It wasn't working, so now you have to take control and go on for yourself.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I remember when I ran into you when I was really pregnant with Gemma before she was born, and I told you what we were planning to name her. I don't know if you remember this, but so we wanted to name her Gemma, really for no other reason than I just love the name.
She's your gem.
She's my gem. She's my precious gem. And also, I lived in Italy, and I went to this like amazing agriturismo birthday party of this gorgeous, charismatic Italian girl, and her name was Gemma, and I just always loved it from then. So we decided to name her Gemma, but we decided to give her the middle name of Susan, which is after my mother-in-law, and who I have a great relationship with. But I remember you saying something to me about that. Like if you give the name, then it
carries on.
It carries on, but like you think like all of like the really great things carry on, but then also some of the not great things carry on too.
Because you're labeling that child with that same energy, especially if it's a family member or in that way, and it's really not the best in a way. A lot of people don't look at it that way. This is why, I mean, I was born into the Catholic faith. I went to Catholic school in the early years and so forth. And
so did I.
And so the thing is, the Jewish, the way they do it, many of them, they'll go to the rabbi before the child is born and go over names because they base it on a different way. And I kind of understand that way. It kind of makes sense. But by giving the child a name that's not after Junior, like Joseph Jr. or whatever, it's better. It's better for the child to, they're going to make their own world within their world for themselves. Even though they may never have known the person that they were named after, the energy is carried over.
Right. It's the energy. It's the energy that keeps carrying. And like some of the, the family trauma, right? Like what is that about, where there's generations of family trauma and generation after generation, like, this person is an alcoholic, and then this person is, then the next generation there's another alcoholic. Now that's probably not a good example, because that is genetic. That is a genetic thing that can be passed down.
Yes.
But like there is a spiritual sense to it also.
But the thing is that, yes, it's just like many women come to me and they say, I was just diagnosed with breast cancer, and they're all upset and so forth. And then this one particular woman said to me, my mother has had it, my grandmother has had it, and now I have it. And she said, it's scary because, I saw what they had to endure, and, they're dead. And now it seems to be my turn. I said, well, you have to look at it differently and not allow it that it's going to have the final ending, that's what you're going to pass from. If you know that that's when in the health area, if you know that these things are run in the family, it's kind of, you're going to say to yourself, I'm not going to allow that to get me. I'm not going to, of course, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, but you can block it and you could say, that's not going to be my way. I'm going to surpass it. And by surpassing it, you won't be passing it on. But the thing is, where the cancer appears in the physical body is where the emotions are not being passed through. Mm-hmm. Like if they all died from breast cancer, it means that's where whatever it was that emotionally made the body ill to accept that cancer, that's where it lodged onto. That's the part of the body that was the weakest. Mm-hmm. So you have to, if as the daughter say, I'm not going to end up like my mom, I'm going to be the stronger woman. I'm going to surpass this. She worried about that. I'm not going to allow these situations grab me. Mm-hmm. That would help break it as well.
Right. We're out of time, which is such a bummer because I feel like we could keep talking for so long. But thank you so much to Eve Kerwin for coming on, the White Buffalo Woman. Thank you so much to all of my listeners at home. I hope that everybody kept an open mind on this conversation. I kind of thought to myself, should I bring in a psychologist to really talk about generational trauma and estrangement and things like that? And I'm like, you know what? No, I'm bringing in Eve Kerwin because she just has that different lens. It's just a different energy and it's a different approach really to all of this. I'm so appreciative of everybody at home for listening. And I invite you to check out Eve's website, whitebuffalowoman.net. If you want to schedule a session with her or just learn more about her, it's just a great treasure trove. And also you can check out my website, DorothyOnTV.com. You can't schedule any kind of healing session with me necessarily, but you can follow along for everything fun that's going on with me there. And of course, as always, you can follow me on Instagram at DorothyOnTV. And if you liked what you heard today, please like this episode, leave some stars, review it. The more reviews, the more we can get it out to more people, and just go on Apple Podcasts and scroll down at the actual show page. So if you're in the actual episode, you have to go to the show page and then scroll down and you can leave a review. And sharing is caring. Share it with somebody who you think needs it. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Eve. And thank you so much, everyone at home. And I will see you all back here next week. We're going to be having another incredible conversation next week with someone who's going to be revealing a very difficult, story of hers, personal story of hers for the very first time, and how we can really transform the challenges in life into, special gifts that we bring into the world and how we can celebrate them. So lots of good stuff about resilience and just, bouncing back after hard stuff, because that's just life. So remember, don't just live your life, love it. And I'll see you all here next week. Bye. Thank you to our Season 2 That Greenwich Life presenting sponsor, RMA of New York. RMA of New York is a full-service fertility center that offers fertility testing, IVF, egg freezing, male reproductive medicine, and LGBTQ family building. And with 14 clinics across Manhattan, Brooklyn, Westchester, and Long Island, they make expert care accessible. RMA of New York is changing lives and helping so many of us write our next chapter. Visit rmany.com for more info.